7,774 centers. Multiply that by 2, say about 15,000, 20 drone centers. That will give you about 30,000. Now I ask a question. What is the cost of technology for drones at that level, special drones, not ordinary? Multiply that figure by 30,000. Multiply it by 50,000. What does it come to? Now that will also employ a certain number of young people who handle this thing remotely. You don't know where they are. There's a certain contract, there's a certain training, there's a certain understanding that you have with them. You can move. Some drones can do 1 kilometer, some drones can do 5 kilometers. This is no rocket science. What that means is that you deploy the police based on specific verifiable information. When you have these things and just the talk of it, you can hype it such that they know that, and you find a way of establishing one and putting it online. That is one way as a deterrent. All these contracts and buying the boots on ground, things like that, you can stop it. I know the budget that you have for the defense ministry. Break that budget into 2 major subheads: equipment and then the human capital or human resources. Make the people happy and then go technology-wise. Even the army themselves can be trained and repositioned in ways that they can become useful, because I'm sick and tired of us coming here every day and discussing this thing, and it sounds like we're helpless. We're not helpless. If they don't want to do it, let it be on record that they do not want. So when they meet with Mr. President, it's a question of deploying this technology, localizing it, and why I kept multiplying is that there are 2 types of situations you must deal with, because I had experts to kind of drill me on this. One is that there's what you call ungoverned spaces. Some states are really large and there are a lot of areas where they are not covered. You fill those areas with different drones. And the second is the metropolitan cities, the state capitals. You also saturate them with a lot more. So you've done a mapping of the state, you do the concentric circles, and then you deploy the drones and you put them there. That is, I want somebody to tell me, I'm still waiting for somebody to come and tell me that that doesn't make sense. Because then you have real-time information, you have real location information, so you don't have people playing pranks on the police. Oh, we are here as a decoy. You go there, meanwhile they are at the other place, and then the police will tell you, oh, we are not familiar with the territory, or the territory is difficult to access, or one thing or the other. The moment you know where they are, you just follow, you follow. It is their brothers that will call them and say, oh boy, watch this channel. They are following you with the people that and wherever you go to, they will follow you to the end. They will see you there. How many drones can you shoot down? Try that at least. Something outside the box, something a little unconventional. That is one thing.
All right.
The press, yes.
Okay, so there's something I just want to highlight here. If you look at Daily Trust, I mean, still on this whole food security stuff. Anyways, Daily Trust major headline here says hardship. Nigeria sitting on a keg of gunpowder, and that's being said by the Sultan. But here is my question. The federal government says we'll distribute 42,000 metric tons of grains for free. That's what the federal government is telling the citizen. And, other riders here are saying crashing food prices is better. And another one says, can NBA demand for concrete action? And Zulum Abiodun Sowonlu unveil measures. But here we're talking about 42,000 metric tons of grain for free by the federal government. Do you think this is going to happen? And is this even the way forward, distributing this 42,000? Is that enough for the whole citizenry? Or Is crashing
Yeah.
the prices not better, or ensuring that we have more food, more supply at a cheaper rate? So is 42,000 metric tons going to do justice for everyone?
Let me tell you this, and I'll say it with every sense of responsibility. One of the worst things that had happened to us is election period. We run a constitutional democracy, so there is a way it operates. For 4 years, you are going to give a mandate to a certain person called Mr. President, a certain person called Mr. Governor, before you don't have National Assembly and then the State House of Assembly. These people will take policies that will run the system. That is what government and governance is all about. Consequent upon this, the man that you send to the National Assembly, the man that you send as your president, the man that you send as your governor, if they do not have in mind to work for the people, you are doomed. Now, what we have, with all due respect, an exception to a very, very small few, these are people who get into government, they can kill, they can do anything, and you think it is to go and serve you. They pay you, you collect their money. These guys are not interested in your welfare. It's an enterprise for them. They pay you to get into government and make money. That is why some governors, I'm told, when they get the budgetary allocation, the first thing they do is bring all the security votes, bring all this money they have, and then head to the Bureau de change them into dollars and keep. And we continue to have a lot of wahala on our head with respect to the dollar, Nigeria exchange rate, which directly impacts on everything, including fuel importation, every single thing. But come down to the drains you asked about. There is what I believe that Nigerians should go for, and that is cerebral governance. Cerebral governance. Why would you, not having resources, having a system that is very porous, is unaccountable, nobody can tell you, like trader money, how you're going to do it, and all these humanitarian things. Now you want to tell me that 42,000 tons of grains. You want to distribute it free. Who believes you? First, nobody believes you. Secondly, fraud will come inside, corruption. Third, the 42,000 tons will just fizzle into thin air. Why don't we say something like, let's look at certain people. The more they demand, the higher the prices. So if you exclude certain people from the market demand, what you end up having is that the demand becomes lower and the price is lower. Why don't we say every teacher, let's assume that this 42,000, goes into 1,000 per state and the FCT, which is 37,000. And then the differential, you can think of what to do. Every teacher, you are going to get the grains at 50% subsidy. Let us have the profile of every teacher. Let's start from somewhere. Why don't you say every civil servant, you are going to have these at this rate? Not free.
So is it that when you start to see ghost workers coming? I mean,
you see, thank you. There are many ways to catch a rat. There are many. You see, bring me into the room, sit me down for just 1 hour, and I'll tell you something that will make you to plug certain holes. All this wanting to please everybody, it is only lazy brain that believes it can solve all the problems, make everybody happy. No. If we had a government before today, like President Obasanjo took education, and then maybe President Yaradua came in and took healthcare, and then maybe President, just like that, taking one sector at a time and doing something. Today, a lot of our problems, but you want the president to solve all your problems, and common sense tells you it's not possible. Do you understand me? Today, I'm in the housing committee of Mr. President, the new Renewed Hope agenda, and I've told him something. After Shagari housing, we've not heard anything. Can the president just make a name in this area of housing? We tell them the job creation, we tell them this, we tell them everything. Do you understand me? Can you make a name there? So coming back to the grains again, I want to anchor because I just want to make a point. Just look at teachers. Look at civil servants below a certain level. Do you understand me? Share it per state, make it open, make it 50%, so that the money don't make it free. The money you collect, you see how you can reinvest that money.
Yeah, maybe concerned about ghost workers anyway, because we see that happen a lot. Especially in the civil service, there's so many people that don't go to work. But the moment you say that, right, there's every possibility that people would come and they're not working.
Let me leak a little secret.
Okay.
Let me leak a little secret. I have worked very, very well with NLC. Very, very, very well with NLC. The moment that you leave it in the hands of NLC in the state, because they don't want to lose, forget governor, no. NLC, bring out your people. Nobody wants to be shortchanged. It is the workers in each of the departments that will tell you, no, this man does not work with us. Because there's a template that is shared to go to all the different sections and departments. So those people, for preservation of self-interest, are going to tell you, no, this person is not here. Because instead of giving me half a bag, you want to give me a quarter bag because you're saying, no, these guys are not there. They will generate the list themselves because they don't want to be shortchanged. There will be not one ghost worker anywhere. So long as you bring this, these are things that I sat down with. That's why people said I did not campaign, because I didn't do that loud noise. But I sat down with NLC for about 3 hours. Me and them in a special chamber. We sat down for about 3 hours and we brainstormed on ghost workers, on worker welfare, on packages, on possibilities. And they said, sir, if you can come in and implement this where we know the details, I'll tell you, you'll be the best governor that we've ever had. What am I trying to say? Ghost workers come when you allow your gas to make the money. But when you move it to the people and say, this is for you, they will make sure that it's like in political money. You give them political, they'll say, no, this guy's here. We're only 10 here. And how about the other guy that said, no, we're 10 here. We'll share it for the 10 people. Don't bring anybody that was not in the meeting. That is how it works.
Okay, well, let's move to Daily Trust. Even though on Punch, I wanted us to look at the fact that federal government will borrow over 2 trillion naira via bonds. But the interesting story on Daily Trust is 60 reps proposed bill to return Nigeria to parliamentary system. And I'd like to know what you think about that.
I think that those reps, their names should be made public and their people should hail them. And on account of the public accolade that they have, others will want to join the bandwagon. We are spending too much on our legislature and we are spending too much on our executive. We are running a system of governance that shares money and does not believe in good governance. So I really look forward to the list of those 60 people. I will publish them on my page, and I will find a way of getting across to their constituencies to say that these are people who mean well for you, because the amount we are spending on the National Assembly is absolutely preposterous. And the returns on such investment does not make a businessman like myself to be happy. You go and buy each of them SUV at 160 million, for goodness sake. What is that? How does that affect the price of Gary in the market? So I think that I completely agree with these 60 legislators, and I want them to be made public, and I want their constituencies to hail them, And I want the others to join them, follow suit, and let us know those who object to it and their reason. Let's have a very, very robust engagement and deliberations, and let us put the pros and the cons, and eventually take a decision that puts governance at the root of the essence, as captured in chapter 2, section 14, subsection 2b, that states that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of governance.
Okay, another headline is very small headline down there. Power supply threatened as federal government owes gas companies discos 3 trillion naira. So the federal government has even said that they will stop subsidizing power. And, you know, there's no subsidy in power, there's no subsidy in education, there's no subsidy in food, there's no health, and nothing, there's no subsidy. Now in power, they want to remove subsidy as well, because they say they cannot keep paying the huge amount of money that they are paying. I don't know what you think.
Let me tell you something. I came in one day to my house and discovered that I had light, but my meter was blank. Now that would have been sweet. And it continued for about a year. My meter was blank and I had power. Now it means for a year I had power without payment, because when your meter is blank, you cannot pay for it. It so happens that it's my Abuja house that I don't stay there, nobody is there. But my wife said, we cannot take this risk. So we went and repeatedly, complained, we can't recharge but we have power. We wrote it down, got them to stamp it, and we'll get back to you. In Nigeria, you must know that a day will come. This country, we have data, we have statistics, so we have everything. A day will come. Then, about a week, 2 weeks back, they came. They gave me the exact consumption of that meter that was not working. They had it at the back. I don't know how they did it. They gave me the exact, brought out the printout. But my saving grace was that we showed them all the letters that we did, consequent upon which they were now able to calculate per time. First, they did a little fraud. They used the current rate to calculate everything. I said, no, I'm too intelligent for that. Break it down per regime. They broke it down per regime, calculated it, I paid, and I came home, I was happy. Now, by next week or within this week, they will bring me a new meter, because that old one I don't want again. What am I trying to say? When you know that as a Nigerian, have the mindset that you pay for what you consume, you'll be careful to know what you can and what you can't. What's the relevance? It is that we are extremely wasteful because we believe we can beat the system. The power that we consume, when you know that you pay, the metering should be very, very, whatever the rate is, it's like petrol subsidy we are doing. We are burning fuel, doing a lot of things that we have no business doing. Federal government does not have the money for this subsidy. That's the simple truth. Because they are subsidizing wrong things, their lifestyle, the next election. So the money that is there, the Bible says that he that has, more will be given. He that has not, even that which you have, will be taken from you and given. So what should come to the poor man, they are still taking from the poor man and giving to the rich person. So let us calm down, have an honest conversation, tell ourselves that we don't have money as a country and that our resources are not being exploited. For instance, there's so much resources from each of the states, but the state governors are just, many of them are just blank on what to do other than to share money. So let us rejig the system and bring it such that all this subsidy, they don't have the money, they are owing too much. So I think that they should play down on subsidy, look at targeted subsidies that will benefit the poor exclusively. Whatever that costs, like social housing, they should go ahead, bring a template where the poor man becomes the beneficiary. Once that is done, I'm cool with subsidy. How can you be subsidizing petrol when I know the number of SUVs that I have? My villagers, the fuel I consume in a week, the whole of my village will not consume in a month. So who are you subsidizing? You're subsidizing me, not my villagers. I know the number V8 engine. I know what I have. And I can say so because I've worked. I'm at retirement. I made provision for me to have a good life when I end. Do you understand? But the poor man on the street does not understand that. I drive my SUV and they are saying, look at those thieves. Because of that, I can't even enjoy my life. You want to go somewhere, you can't, what you've worked and put together, God helped you to save over the years, you can't even enjoy it because they can't draw a line between an honest man and a corrupt politician. Drive a very good SUV, stop in a hold-up or in a traffic or something. The average man looks at you. When he passes, the look he gives you, you are one of them. You are my problem. And God, who sees the honest man, will continue to be there for him because the Bible says when a man's ways pleases God, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. So I want to say that we should play down on this using the poor
So I agree with you. I mean, you should pay for what you consume. That's fine, right? If that's the cost for the electricity, why not? I mean, just pay the tariff. But my question now is, are you going to see this electricity? Because we're talking about power. For the past 2 days, I've not had power in my house. I've had to be running on diesel, which is very expensive. I don't mind the fact that, you should pay for what you consume. But are you going to provide this? Because there's one thing to hike the price, and there's another for me not to even say the power. So are we sure that we're going to get power constantly, even if it's not 24 hours, but at least a good number of hours?
Yeah, two things. I spent the whole day at their office. Yesterday, a good part of my Valentine was spent with them because such times it helps me to interact with the people, including the junior workers. It helped me to get in touch with the reality, And I'll tell you two things. First, off record, I'll tell you that don't run diesel again. There's a little secret. I have very big generators, but I discovered that there are some generators that run on petrol and they can carry 3 ACs. You understand? So even me, I don't port small. You understand me?
But doesn't that still make us a generator republic that they call us? Because South Africa has called us the generator republic. So what I'm saying is, I don't want to even be running this. I don't want to run generator.
Yeah, I agree,
the sound, the noise pollution.
Yeah. Yes. No, addressing the issue directly is, is no matter the highest tariff is cheaper than diesel or petrol. I can tell you that for free. The highest tariff, which is about the 68 point something as of today, is cheaper by far than diesel. So we need the light. Let us sit down, have honest conversation on what is the cost reflective tariff, what makes sense. Enlighten Nigerians. They will now know how to run our systems. We now know how to incorporate inverters. We now know how to turn off what we can't. And then we also find a way of doing a subsidy that will target the poor. I keep saying this, a subsidy that will target the poor. Subsidizing certain things for me is not okay. Do you know how many cars that Dangote has? The Otedolas, the Ovias, do you know how many cars they have? The banks, you are subsidizing all of them.
All right.
Yeah, but if you subsidize if you subsidize fuel that you take into your car, it will free some money for you to also do giveaway to the people that now even the rich can no longer.
The rich also cry.
Yeah, the rich also cry. So the people that they can do some giveaway to are suffering because they too that's free money is no longer there anymore. Yeah. But anyway,
listen to me, brother. It is a lie. Take that from me.
Okay.
It is a blatant lie. There's a level you reach, and I'm not talking of Otedola level or Dangote level. Do you understand me? There's a level that you reach that additional 100,000 makes no difference to you at all. And we are talking of them in hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in Nigeria today. Nigeria has two sectors, the rich and the poor. That's just what it is.
Just so find out where you fall in.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it.
Wrap it up on this segment.
Let me end on this. Let me end on this. Very important.
Okay.
No rich man should use this as a reason not to help the poor. You are lying. Quote me. You are lying. Every rich man, and they know the people I'm talking to, they have enough to take care of the poor. Look, going to Uyo from Abuja cost me 250,000 naira. A return ticket cost me 500,000. I mean, I've reached that level. God has helped me. I've retired. Goodness. Do you understand me? Now, yesterday, I was to go back. I looked at the ticket, 250,000. Somewhere down the line, scroll down, because usually agents or my people buy for me, but once in a while I buy it myself. I scroll down and I saw what? I saw 80,000 in economy. Now, if I fly economy, who will die? Nobody will die. So why don't I say, I fly economy today, that gives me a differential of about 170,000 naira. Brother, do you know what 150,000 naira will do? It will give 150 people 1,000 because I decided to fly economy.
Okay.
1 hour to you from Abuja.
This is where we have to wrap it up, sadly. But we always love having these conversations with you because there is banter and it's just good and intellectual conversations. Thank you so much, Architect, for joining us. Thank you.
Fellow Yuso-san,
yes,
thank
sir.
You. You had to say that. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. We've been speaking with Ezekiel Inya-Etok. He's a public affairs analyst, and we've just been reviewing the papers. Anyways, we'll go on a short break, look at what the weather is saying, and when we return, we'll be speaking on our first hot topic. Please stay with us.
My name is Adejoke Lasisi. I'm the founder and creative director of Planet 3R. At Planet 3R, we convert textile and plastic waste into eco-friendly products. The motivation actually came from a rural community in Ibadan here. Whenever it rains, the whole place, people will not be able to go inside the community. If it rains overnight, people will not be able to go to school, they will not be able to go to work. Anytime the water now goes away, you now realize a lot of waste. And I was like, this is actually the root cause of this problem, improper waste management system. Then I look at it that, what can we do to solve this problem? And that was how I started using the weaving skill that I've acquired from my mom since I was 9 years old. Then I started using it to weave those waste to now make sure that we now convert them into beautiful items like bags, shoes, even clothing. I actually participated at Womenpreneur Season 3, that was 2021. One of the things I really gained at that time was business development. It's not just about the talent now or having to know how to convert the waste or having the idea, but to be able to put it into a successful business. I really appreciate what Access Bank is doing for entrepreneurs. Let us now say women now, because most of the time women don't really have much of these advantages. I love the fact that there's an initiative for women. I want to encourage you to make sure that you go and apply honestly. Your life will not remain the same again.
Who has the right of way? Nigerian roads come with a lot of chaos. The chaos is caused by a combination of drivers, motorcycle and tricycle riders, pedestrians and sellers who all claim the right of way. The chain of right of way holders in Nigeria is hierarchical, and car and motor drivers are at the top of the chain with pedestrians at the bottom. Car or motor drivers believe that they always have the right of way regardless, and motorcycle and tricycle riders don't even have any regard for who has the right of way. For fear of accidents and their lives, pedestrians have learned to cower. When a collision occurs, the question of who has the right of way is on the lip of all concerned as they try to figure out who is guilty.
Thanks for staying with us on The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We're taking our first hot topic now, and what is trending as it is, at least to a lot of us, is that REPS has proposed a change from presidential to parliamentary system of government. Don't forget that when we had our independence in 1960, it was the parliamentary government that was handed down to us by our colonial masters, which is the British government. They still practice parliamentary system of government till today, but after a while, maybe after the first 6 years, we resorted to becoming a presidential system of government, following after America. And now some 60 House of Reps members are proposing that by 2031 at least, there should be a return or a transition to parliamentary system of government. So we have some guests here to discuss it with us. We have Mr. Joe Femi Dagunro, public policy analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program, Mr. Femi Dagunro.
Good morning.
We also have Mr. Abraham Grid, a public affairs analyst on the show. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, let's begin with just the basic question. Parliamentary system of government. Are you for or against it? Let me begin with Mr. Femi Dagunro.
Well, it's not whether I personally for it or against it. It's about the people. You know, you said it in your introduction that this is what's handed over, and we changed it. Now we want to change it again. Hopefully, that there's something. The most important thing is not about the system that we run. That is good as well, but we steal our money. People steal money, whether it's parliamentary, whether it's elementary, whether it's, call it any name. The annoying thing about the kind of government or the system we run is that people go there to steal money. Not everybody, though. You know, the idea of being a politician to make fast money, that is what we should discourage. It is not really, the system of presidential is quite expensive. And that's why you have these kind of problems we are having. Even when you do parliamentary, people will still find a way to inflate budgets, do a lot of all these things. We have to appeal to the heart of Nigerians who are politicians to take it easy and to make sure that they go there to serve the people right from the world. When you have the councillor, you have the chairman, you have the people in the state and at the federal level. Yes, look at what is going on in Germany. Look at what is going on in the UK. Look at everywhere where the practice stage. There's a sort of control, but it's the heart of the people. It's the conscience of the people. And our law has to be strengthened because we don't have the law to take care of the consequences of, if you do something silly, you face the consequence. Look at what happened. The Prime Minister, COVID, he had a party, he lied, and you know what, the rest is a history. He was thrown out of the place. And look at the exchequer. A lot of all these things, you can even even take from UK if you are staying in if you want to start with the UK example, and look at even in America where the presidential system is being practiced. Donald Trump is facing a lot of charges right now. We are not facing, the people of this country, the politicians are not facing the consequences of their doings, and that is the most important thing. Look at what is going on in some MDA. Look at even the judiciary, the Supreme Court. We read that there was a kind of financial improprieties there. So if at that level these things are going on, even at the assembly, so it is not just changing from presidential to parliamentary. It is about our people. It's about the conscience of our people. Look at what is going on about hoarding of foods. And a lot of all these things we can count. The people are fed up. So it is not what you are bringing to them. They will look at it, yes. If truly we want to save costs, if truly we want to think about the people, yes, the parliamentary system will be good for us. But then who are the people to go in there again and do the same thing they've been doing in presidential? And are you sure that the lawmakers will even approve that? It's a good idea to keep the people busy and a topic that will keep everybody talking again, not looking at what the problem. But this is not the right time, because this time around people are facing inflation, and the people are facing hunger, people are facing a lot of other things. So telling them we want to change from presidential to parliamentary or elementary or tertiary, call it any name, people are not interested right now. People just to find a way to feed themselves and their family. People want to send their children to school. They want to live a happy life. So if the people who are the same politicians will go there, they will still practice what they are practicing. It's party for jungle kind of thing. And that is what is annoying to the masses of this country.
Okay, Mr. Great, let's hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I agree totally with my co-guest. A bad president is the same as a worst prime minister. It doesn't matter what you have. This topic jumped very quickly at me because I've just submitted in the last few weeks an academic paper on redefining the Nigerian system of governance. And I called it the era of a copied democracy. We have to go back to the genesis of where we are at, that it is not just that Nigeria were practicing regional, system of governance, or that we have a system of federal parliamentary in place. We would have to remember that there was first the era of the copied democracy when we were forming the country before the independence, where Awolowo had worked with the British, worked on the British systems to ensure that Nigeria, worked or have a proper regional system that will be in form of, parliamentary system. And, just at the eve of that, we have a new, I call them the Sons of Oxford, that went with Nnamdi Azikiwe to America and then, jettisoned the proposed agenda from Awolowo to then bring into Nigeria the system that we now practice, which is democracy. Now, I am a proponent of good governance, but I have problem with democracy. I always and often call democracy a secrecy of supremacy, because there is no country, I haven't seen one country that actually practices, that developed their nation directly with democracy. Democracy seems to have been working in systems where countries have built their system before, and then they imbibe democracies to regulate things. Look, for example, in Nigeria, what Awolowo was proposing at that time. Look at our diversity. Look at the way we are positioned as a country, how many languages, how many cultures, the differences that we have. And it was, don't forget that it was Awolowo at that time who proposed that we should have, the Southeast, South, Southwest, South. We now practice, invariably we are working in that kind of a system now today. You said this person is from the South, that person is from the Southwest, but it is not constitutionally so. We just practice it as a verb. So you imagine a situation like the UK, for example, or like Canada. If Nigeria had gone where we have 6 prime ministers and 1 president, but no matter what we have, there is still a problem, a major problem of resource control in Nigeria, where derivation, the resource control, the fiscal budget, there is an endemic system in Nigeria of corruption. And that is the core thing. But that can at least, we can begin to have a variance to how this system work, that it can work a little bit if we have a parliamentary system, like I will not compare it with the UK. I will say at least like the UAE. In the UAE, you have 6 or 7 different kingdoms. And what goes in Dubai may not be the same thing that they are practicing in Abu Dhabi. They have, each of them have their own constitution, have their own laws. That will allow somebody who wants to practice Sharia law that has been there before the formation of Nigeria to continue in their practice. That will allow someone in the West who believe in their traditional, worship or what have you, that they want to go ahead with that. That would allow us to be able to have a breather. But the system that we have at the moment makes even corruption a lot more pervasive, because it vests a lot of power on the central, the executive power in Nigeria.
What advantages can the parliamentary system of government give us? And is Nigeria even capable of this change in the system of government at this point?
Yes, if you look at it, it will definitely reduce the cost of governance. If well practiced, it will reduce the cost of governance. Like Abraham was saying, the system we give room for, excuse me, we give room for regional democracy, let me put that way, whereby people will vote for the people they want, and it is the power will not be concentrated too much on the executive. The power will still lie within the people, within the chambers, and we are not going to have this extreme cost of governance. So that's number one. Number two, I still repeat, you see, corruption is the bane of our society. Stealing, there's no other word for it. Stealing of government money, people's money, is one of the major problems we have. You see, we have excuses for everything. Look at the other day, they said somebody forged the president's signature to collect millions of dollars out of the central bank. For goodness sake, who is this person? And they said the money was given out in cash. So there is no camera to capture the person. There's no way to verify that person. It is in this country you hear regularly ghost worker. It is in this country we have had some past snake, swallow money. And, a lot of all this
running away with them.
So now somebody say, oh, I don't know, it is maybe one voodoo something. So why all these excuses, for goodness sake? And somebody who has a case in court will still leave court and get an injunction and go and contest to be a presidential candidate. So all these things, you don't really know. And then where to go from? We don't know how is the working, what is the workings of the system? How is it going to benefit the people? And then the funny thing is this, they've taken the people for granted. 4 years thereafter, they come back again. The people will still go and vote. So that's why you see most of the young people, they don't really care much about all these things. And you see, they are concerned and they are fed up with a lot of what's going on. So now parliamentary, in theory, we reduce costs. In theory, we give voice to the people at regional level. In theory. But in practice, how do we practice that? I said, unless we begin to have consequences for some of these things we do. So if you don't, how do you do this, what's it called now? This social welfare program. It's a good idea. But if it is the social welfare program we were using, stealing money again, money does not get to the poor, it's getting to the rich, and the rich are getting richer. So now what do we do? Look at the charges on the bank. Look at the charges. I mean, you can name them. It is just about our people. It's just about conscience, for goodness sake. Let the lawmakers, let them think about the conscience, let them have a conscience that will, resolve some of this issue. Let them begin to ask questions. Till today, nobody knows exactly what the lawmakers are earning. We just one day we'll just hear that, oh, they want this, they want that, they increase their budget. And what is this budget for? Have you ever seen anywhere in the world where a lawmaker distributes rice and beans? It is not done. And these are the the things. Palliative is a word that people do not want to hear again. I think some people, if they have the opportunity, they will delete it from the dictionary because it is now becoming something that we just misuse. We use that word carelessly, and people are not enjoying the palliatives. So these are the things. I am very clear about this, that let's begin to work on the conscience of our people. Let's talk directly to our people, and let's begin to have, a system whereby we respect. We don't respect the system. We don't respect our people. We don't respect ourselves. These are moral issues. These are fundamental issues. Until we approach that, until we begin to see change in all these situations, I think whatever system we operate, we will still have this problem. That is just my conclusion. That is, whatever system people are prepared to go for it and say, okay, let's try this again. But are you sure that the people in government will sign or will make it happen? I doubt, because they are benefiting from this presidential system. A few people are benefiting from it, and they will fight back.
Okay. Well, people will fight back. There's always a fight back. Let's also hear your final take on this, Mr. Great.
Like I said earlier, a bad prime minister is as bad as a worst president. But my concern more is in terms of our diversity, in terms of how complex as a nation we are. There is a way we can make do with what we have at the moment if there is sincerity, if there is if there's sincerity, because the current government or the government, almost every government we have been quite punitive in their approach to corruption. America, practice what we have. And I have an issue with Western culture in that when we copy from them, they give us a kind of a cacophonous kind of system or policies, and we just run with it. Look at America, for example. America practice, federalism, but they have a caveat, and the caveat is the electoral college. So no matter how, the election goes, there is still a set of people, 530 or thereabouts number of them, who still determines, and you see that in the case of Al Gore versus is it Bush? You saw that in Hillary Clinton versus Trump, where there was Hillary won the vote by over 2 million people. There's still a set of people who still so in my own way, in my own thinking, America is not a democratic government. They are lying. For me, it's a lie. They have a system that is almost similar or different completely to the UK, but is definitely not democracy, because there are a few number of people who actually determine the outcome. And if you want to tell me if there is anything worse than corruption in Nigeria, it is election. He said this election is extremely toxic, divisive. The election of every 4 years will not make Nigeria a sustainable country. We hate each other. We bring bigotry. We bring religion. In fact, after election, sometimes it takes us 10 years to recover from some election. Some people still hate people. There's something I call apoptosis, which is in biology, where a cell is dying from itself. Nigeria is killing itself from inside itself because I voted for somebody else, will go after me, looking at my LinkedIn, looking at your businesses, bringing somebody down, trying to destroy just because we don't think alike. Because, and that's what China has eliminated. When China reduces the number of elections, it seems as though China is a capitalist country. No, but they don't have election to deal with, so they went straight into economy. Nigeria every 4 years is destroying Nigeria with election.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Maybe we'll propose a presimentrad election system of government, presidential, parliamentary, traditional, all joined together to give us a presimentrad system. But we'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. We don't have much time, but one thing is sure, sincerity is what will take us anywhere, no matter what the system of government is, and that much we agree upon. So, Mr. Joe Femi Dagunro, thank you so much for coming on the program. And Mr. Abraham Great, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All the best. Enjoy the day.
All right.
Thank you.
So we've been talking with Joe Femi Dagunro, a public policy analyst, and Abraham Great, who was also a public affairs analyst, talking about the proposed change or transition from a presidential election or presidential system of government to parliamentary. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll be looking at another hot topic. Stay with us.
Sometimes, it's not just the distance we travel. It's the gaps we close. It's not the things we buy. It's the memories we create. Sometimes, it's beyond the places we go. It's the connections we make. Not just the things we taste. It's the taste of things to come. And it's never a question of if, but when. Because life is always just a bit better with American Express. Introducing the Access Bank American Express Gold Card and the Metal Platinum Card, now available through Access Bank.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Who has the right of way? Nigerian roads come with a lot of chaos. The chaos is caused by a combination of drivers, motorcycle and tricycle riders, pedestrians, and sellers who all claim the right of way. The chain of right-of-way holders in Nigeria is hierarchical, and car and motor drivers are at the top of the chain with pedestrians at the bottom. Car or motor drivers believe that they always have the right-of-way regardless, and motorcycle and tricycle riders don't even have any regard for who has the right-of-way. For fear of accidents and their lives, pedestrians have learned to cower. When a collision occurs, the question of who has the right of way is on the lip of all concerned as they try to figure out who is guilty. The law doesn't grant anyone the right of way, but you yield it to other road users under these circumstances. At a yield sign, to pedestrians in a crosswalk, to persons using a seeing eye guide dog, to persons using a white cane with or without a red tape. At T intersections where you must yield to vehicles on the through road. At uncontrolled intersections where vehicles are already in the intersection. When driving on an unpaved road that intersects with a paved road. When returning to the roadway after a car is parked. Pedestrians must always be yielded the right of way at intersections and crosswalks. Treat bicycles as motor vehicles. Yield to bicyclists in all situations where you would yield to a car. For example, wait for an oncoming bicycle to pass before turning left. Turn right at a red light if it's permitted and no vehicles are approaching. If you see a sign that says no right turn on red, then you must wait for the light to turn green again. Otherwise, you must turn right at a red light after yielding to oncoming traffic. Stop for pedestrians who've begun crossing the road. Once a pedestrian has begun crossing the road, they have the right of way. You should also stop for pedestrians waiting to cross at crosswalks that aren't controlled by a traffic light. Yield to oncoming traffic if you're entering a main road. The pandemic opened the world to a new dispensation regarding work. How people work and the career paths they take differ from generation to generation. There are 5 generations present in the modern workplace, each with unique expectations and perspectives. A person's career path is described as the work they do and the roles they hold as they climb up the ladder. Before the millennium, career paths for many was simply linear, which could be a person working at the same organization and growing there till they retired, or a person working in the same role but changing jobs a couple of times. Security and staying power were the cornerstone of this career path. However, with modern technology, a person's career path can be as multifaceted and versatile as the individual wishes. Millennials now work multiple roles in their career trajectories, pursue numerous passions that are sometimes interwoven, and work at different roles in their journeys. Baby boomers and Generation X only considered a job good if it gave them the security to work there till they retire. But for millennials and Gen Z, the workplace has changed and so has the career structure. Millennials often change their career paths or juggle multiple interests simultaneously. Being able to move from one job to another might signal a person's employability and adaptability. Baby boomers tend to believe that working long hours is what defines success and value face-to-face interactions with co-workers. In contrast, millennials believe that innovation and flexibility are key ingredients for success at work. The shift in occupational structures, for example, the increasing gig economy, is leading to polarization in employment, wages, and inequalities. From remote work policies to virtual leadership, the pandemic changed how we work. The opportunity to telework increased for some, such as knowledge workers, but not for frontline workers. Among the benefits are an improved work-life balance for some, as well as changed attitudes to well-being. Teleworking can lead to a higher productivity and lower operating costs for companies. Work is increasingly flexible and decentralized. Working from home or out of a workspace is favored by many because of the flexibility that comes with it. Millennials and Gen Zs prefer flexible work schedules and part-time hours so that they can balance their work and life compared to older generations who prefer security.
Some people are social people. When they go to the office, they have friends everywhere. Good morning. How was the football match? You just with your colleagues and stuff like that. That social element at work, a lot of people need it. Me personally, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also high on the introverted side. I like going to parties, I like making friends, but I also like keeping to myself. So at work, I'm not the friendliest. I would smile, I would say hi, but I don't need to. So it depends on your personality and what you need. For me, work from home works a lot for me because I get to spend time with my family. I'm always in the house with my partner, and that really makes me happy.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station Plus TV Africa and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. And right now it's time for our next hot topic. We're talking about protecting our children on International Childhood Cancer Day. Today is the 15th of February, and it's known as the Day for Raising Awareness for International Childhood Cancer for our kids. And we're just talking about how to protect them. Now, joining us to have this conversation is Dr. Kiki Omieli. She is a medical practitioner. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Lovely to have you.
Good to have you.
Thanks. So we know you wear many hats. You're an actor. You're also a doctor. How is that first? You know, having to do this whole doctor thing and raising awareness for this childhood cancer.
Okay, so I'm a trained medical doctor. Somewhere along the line, I started acting. It is my passion, and is what I do, and is what pays my bills and puts food on the table. However, I mean, my training is still very much there, and I'm passionate about getting the word out. So I like to use my platform as an actor to basically spread the word about healthy living. So yeah, that's how those two things come together.
That's amazing. Well, it's good that you're using your platform to do all of these things, because I mean it's just helping people, helping humanity, really.
Exactly.
So let's talk about International Childhood Cancer Day. What is this day about? I know most times for almost everything you have a day. You have International Women's Day.
For everything.
You have the day for the girl
child,
the
the boy child.
You know, almost everything.
Boy child is not the reigning thing. It's always girls.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I think that the females just make a lot more noise about our days.
Yeah, well.
Because there's a day for we make a lot more noise about Mother's Day, because there's Father's Day as well, but we make a lot more noise.
I think
about
guys
that.
don't really care about.
Yeah, they don't really care.
Yeah,
You make all
it's
the
so
noise.
cool.
Calm down. I'm in the middle. I'm here. Okay.
But yes, like I was asking,
Yes.
so what is this day for exactly?
Yeah, because we have Cancer Awareness Month, we have Cervical Cancer Day, and now we still have
International Childhood Cancer Day.
So
Yeah, so childhood cancer is something that needs a lot of awareness, because most children that come down with cancer can't even speak. You have toddlers, sometimes even babies. Some babies are born with cancer. So there has to be a day, for that awareness. People that have children, parents, need to be aware of the things that they need to look out for to get an early diagnosis. Because for childhood cancer, the earlier a cancer is diagnosed, the better the chances of survival, especially in developed countries. There's about an 80% survival rate for childhood cancers, but most of this would depend on an early diagnosis. So this day is a day just set aside, basically to create a lot of awareness about childhood cancer.
yeah, but creating awareness is one thing. Even if you find out that the child has cancer, what do you do in Nigeria? Because you talked about developed countries. Nigeria is not one of them.
Well, so
how do you even find out that?
I said there's an 80% survival rate in developed countries. In developing countries like Nigeria, it's about 20% for several reasons.
Wow, that's quite low.
Late diagnosis is one of the reasons. So when you say, even if you find out, what do you do? If you know what your problem is, then you can take steps towards solving it. But unfortunately, in a country such as Nigeria, one of the problems may be funds. So that's why foundations such as the one I'm representing today, Akanimo Cancer Foundation, that's why they exist, to kind of help people who are unable to, pay for their cancer treatments. And sometimes we also encourage people that even if you don't have a foundation, or you're not going to work with the foundation, sometimes you can just go to a hospital around your area if you want to help. Just help one or two people sort out their bills. And it goes a long way.
Yeah, but how do we even access the facilities that will help us find out if our children are with cancer?
Okay, so one of the things I'm here to talk about today are the things that, the signs, some of the early warning signs that you could see that could maybe point you in that direction, that this might be something to check out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even before you
I was about
go
to
a
even
hospital
ask
or
that.
something. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things would be an unexplained fever lasting maybe 2 weeks or more. Usually if someone had like malaria or some kind of infection, or, then the fever would be explained. But if a child has a fever for no reason that you can see and is lasting for a long time, it's something you might want to check out. Also things like weight loss, swelling in any part of the body, arms, legs, abdomen, face, jawline. And, there was previously no trauma, because sometimes if a child should be playing and, he hits one part of the body, then it swells, But if there was nothing like that and there's just a swelling that is unexplained, it might be something to check out. Also, for some children, they have like a white spot in the eye, depending on the kind of cancer. So if you notice, white spots in the child's eye that was previously not there, it might be something to check out as well. A squint that wasn't there before, headaches that might come with vomiting, seizures, easy bruising. You know, there are so many things that could point to childhood cancer. This is not to say, however, that if you see all these signs, this is not to say that it means it's cancer. It's just that, you know, it's worth
Could be cancer.
worth checking out, yeah. And as to what to do, you go to the hospital. If you can't afford a private hospital, you have the teaching hospitals or the general hospitals that offer services as well.
Yeah, but because
Okay.
it's not every hospital that offers these services. Maybe you are in the village, for instance, and you've seen these signs, and accessing this is quite difficult.
This is
So,
true. This
yeah.
is true. This is why we have things like referrals. So if you go to, say, a health center and they are unable to handle it, then they refer you to a facility that is equipped to handle these things. But like I keep saying, in a developing country such as this one, many times people are hampered by funds. Yeah. So this is where well-meaning individuals like you and I can actually help.
Okay, so let's talk about the role of technology. How can technology help with all of these things to, you know, just for the advancement of prognosis? Because most times the reason why people die, that's not just even children now, the reason why people die from cancer is because they never really detect it early enough. So what does technology do to actually
Village
help?
people.
And they say that it says village people, right?
And all these signs are showing that
Yes,
village people.
yes.
When you were asking what technology can do, what occurred to me is right now we are on TV and you know it's technology and we're talking and people can actually hear.
Raising awareness.
Yeah, there's somebody somewhere thinking to themselves, oh, I might have noticed that in my child, maybe I need to check this out. So even just raising awareness on TV, on the radio, you know, just in the media generally, that's one of the things that technology can do, you know, towards the diagnosis of childhood cancer. But also in hospitals, I mean, you have all the radiotherapy and the chemotherapy. That's all technology, really. So yeah.
So since
that's
it's
not really-
International Childhood Cancer Awareness Day, do we have like partnerships with international, you know, bodies, people who we just partner with? For instance, I know there's like Cancer Research UK. So do they partner with like developing countries such as Nigeria to make sure that we're raising more awareness and ensuring that children are not dying of cancer?
Well, truth be told, many of the foundations that exist for cancer awareness in Nigeria, many of them are, should I say, like individual. Many of them are, you know, formed because of like personal reasons. For example, the Akanimo Cancer Foundation was established because of a young boy, Akanimo, who, I mean, very bright young boy that previously had no issues. His father is actually a doctor, a senior colleague of mine. At the time I was doing my house job in University College Hospital, Ibadan. And after his 10th birthday, he just, you know, complained of constipation and abdominal discomfort. And then, you know, he went for an ultrasound scan and boom, cancer. Yeah, and it was a rare kind of cancer. He was immediately flown to the United States. He fought for 2 years. You know, unfortunately, he passed. You know, he only lived 2 years because he was in the US. If he had been in Nigeria, probably wouldn't have lasted that long. Yeah. So his parents established this foundation just to kind of get the word out there. What's the point I'm making with all this is that most of the time these foundations are actually personal. Something like Cancer Research UK, I don't know how interested they would be, you know, in partnering with. So it would be, if anything like that were to happen, it would be these foundations reaching out to them to see how there could be collaboration.
Now, how would you describe the infrastructure, the available infrastructure in Nigeria to fight this? I understand the federal government is even thinking about adding cancer treatment to the NHS or healthcare thing. So,
HMO.
but for now, how would you describe the infrastructure? Do we have enough? What needs to be done?
Do we have enough? We definitely don't. We definitely don't. In terms of even radiotherapy machines in the entire Nigeria, I don't think we have more than 3 or 5. So we definitely don't. It's cancer is not something that you really want to have in a country such as this one, which is why we are talking about early diagnosis. Because like I keep saying, the earlier you diagnose it, then the better this can be handled. yeah, in terms of infrastructure, no, we're really not equipped. We need to do so much more.
But who should be at the vanguard? Is it the private sector or government?
The government, because cancer is such an expensive disease. It's not something I feel like private sectors can. Well, maybe except for maybe corporate bodies that can actually afford it. Maybe like the banks, maybe as some form of CSR. But I definitely do think it's something the government needs to look into, because cancer is so much more common now than it ever used to be. Yeah. Maybe because of our diet, maybe because of the things we're consuming. Who really
Even
knows?
The air we breathe as
Yeah, who really knows? And unfortunately, with childhood cancer, unlike adult cancers where you would usually have, a reason why it exists, maybe family history or maybe consumption or whatever. With childhood cancer, there's no clear evidence of cause. Yeah, many children are just born with cancer for whatever reason. You can't really put your finger on why this child has cancer. Unfortunately, for childhood cancers, you only have about 2% that you could claim that maybe have some kind of parental hereditary. Yeah, in about 95 to 98% of cases, there's no clear reason why it happens.
Wow.
Okay, so what steps can the government take? Because now we're saying government has a big role to play in all of this. So what steps can the government take to ensure that the facilities, the infrastructure that we need to be able to fight this disease out for children, and I mean everyone at large, because every life matters. So what can the government start to do to ensure that we can, just the necessary steps?
Yeah, so I think in terms of allocation, because many times you see a budget, how much of the budget is allocated to healthcare? Yeah, I don't know about you, but I don't see anything impressive in that area. So I think the teaching hospitals are available to the masses, because not a lot of people can afford private healthcare. So for the teaching hospitals available to the masses, I think they need to be equipped with radiotherapy machines, and things that people with cancer actually need for like a good diagnosis and treatment. I personally was never impressed, while I practiced medicine, I was personally never impressed with the things that were put in place for the handling of cancer. Also, whenever the government takes on a cause, people tend to hear about it because they go as far as to the grassroots level, just to try to get the word out there. So if they take on HIV, for instance, they go out of their way, all the radio jingles, they put it in a language that people can understand, because these things are expensive to do. So I think first things first, is awareness. The reason why many people don't survive cancer is late diagnosis. If you don't know what to look out for and you're just at home until it becomes so bad, and then you get to the hospital when it's late, there's not a lot that can be done. So I think in terms of awareness, getting the word out there, and then also just allocating the funds for treatment.
So you talked about diagnosis. How often should you have, I know people say go check yourself at least once a year, but when you think of the cost, right, healthcare is quite expensive here in Nigeria compared to other countries where it's almost free. So how do you even start to look for these signs, for yourself? Because I know it's for kids that we're talking about, but even for yourself, how do you start to look for these signs and, quickly go to the hospital to ensure early detection?
Okay, so for adults, well, for women, for things like breast cancer, there's a breast self-examination that you can do. I mean, pretty much, you can do that by yourself, and if you see anything untoward, then you know what to do. Also for things like cervical cancer, the pap smear is quite expensive, but you don't have to do a pap smear if you just want to find out if there's something wrong. There's something called, a test you can do with Lugol's iodine, where they just kind of swab the cervix, and if they see anything untoward, then they want to take further investigations and all that. So these are just a few of the things. And then, like I said, the same way I'm saying, watch your child closely, also watch yourself closely. Some of these signs, cancer signs also exist in adults, all the unexplained fever and weight loss and all that. So I know that, preventive medicine can be expensive because having to go to the hospital on a yearly basis to perform all these tests, I know it's expensive. But I mean, just as far as you can or as much as you can, just do what you can.
When we talk about the government making sure that these facilities are available, what would you say about the manpower that can handle this? Does it need specialized manpower?
This is another topic entirely because even the doctors all seem to have
they're leaving.
Okay.
So this is a different topic entirely. It's unfortunate, but I don't think that this country in particular actually provides professionals with incentives to stay. it's unfortunate. But in terms of specialized manpower, I think that many of these things, I think people can be trained, you know, to be able to use these machines. But then for the doctors who have to, you know, provide the diagnosis and recommend the treatment and all that, I don't know, they seem to be living in droves. So this
we
is
still have you, so whether you practice or not,
you're sharing me with the screen. So.
Yeah, we still have you. Well, we run to you, you will say, okay, yeah. Because if you were on a plane and someone gets a heart attack,
well,
you
this
say,
is true.
I'm
They're
a doctor.
Yeah, you kind of have to
it will
volunteer.
always kick in and all that. Okay. So what would you say about the success story so far when you talk about awareness of this childhood cancer? Do people really know about it, or what needs to be done?
Well, I wouldn't say that a lot of people know. The educated people probably do, but many times when we do awareness like this, we also want it to get to the grassroots level, because cancer, you know, is across board. It doesn't know educational background, it doesn't know social background and all that. So do people really know about it? I think that a lot of work just needs to be done in terms of awareness. And I'm really hoping that as a result of my being here today, you know, somebody somewhere will say, you know, I think I noticed this or that in my child, you know, and do what they need to do. So there's a lot more that needs to be done. And even now that I've spoken to you guys, I'm sure you guys can also help to get the word out there. Yeah, even if it's not on TV, you know, just
you know, just spread the word to other people. But let's talk about the role of education. Now, do you think this is something that should even be done in schools, like raising that awareness in schools?
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe even into the curriculum or something, and they should just learn about it, since we're seeing that it's prevalent in, you know, our world today. So is it something that when we go to schools, you know, your teachers, for instance, there's biology, right, in school. So are there teachers that are going to be teaching about these things, you know, finding out for yourself if in case there's anything you can notice easily for you to be able to go to the hospital?
Yeah, I mean, when we went to school, there was no such thing, probably because the prevalence of cancer at that time, you know, it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah.
But curriculums can be
adjusted.
Is that curricula? What is the plural? Yeah, they can be revised.
Yeah.
You understand? So I do think it's necessary for things like that to be taught in schools, because there's nothing like too much education. And that's even for the educated people. I keep talking about the people that don't go to school because they have cancer as well.
Yeah.
So we need to just find a way to keep getting the word out there.
Yeah, we'd like to thank like the Akanimo Foundation and every other foundation that is doing this, because most times, not even most times, they do it out of passion, they do it out of a story that like you told this one and all that. So we'd like to encourage them. So, but we are always interested in what bit we can contribute, not just saying it here for one day and all that. So what does a foundation, for instance, like the one you belong to, do that you think media houses and other people who have the privilege to listen to this, to see this happen, what can we do to make sure that the evangelism, I'd like to put it, goes further than what you do?
Okay, so some of the things that the foundation does, apart from creating awareness like this, is to actually help people with their bills. You know how I keep talking about funds being, you know, a major barrier to treatment and early diagnosis. So this foundation at the moment is sponsoring about 5 children who, are down with cancer, you know, paying all the bills and all that, and hoping to do more. However, foundations also need funds, right? So that's why we keep talking about well-meaning individuals, either helping the foundation or even just on your own. Yes, just go to, I promise you, if you walk into any hospital, there are people that need help. They can't pay their bills, and you can be of help in some way.
All right. Thank you so much. This is where we have to wrap it up today. And I hope, like, I mean, someone somewhere heard all of this and they're doing their bit. And we hope that well-meaning Nigerians will come out and start to support, so financially and even also volunteering as well.
Yeah.
But we want to say
I'd like to add, thank you so much. I just wanted to say how to reach out to the foundation. So on Instagram and Facebook, it's Akanimo Cancer Foundation. That's AKANIMO CANCERFOUN DATION. I hope I spelled that right.
Yeah,
Akanimo Cancer Foundation.
Okay, fantastic.
So when you get there, you'll get the help that you need, and we hope that all these foundations, not just Akanimo Foundation, will get the funding that they need to get to do what they are doing. And if you are having the wherewithal, please You can also, like she said, walk into a hospital, do your bid, or get a foundation yourself so that people can access whatever you are able to give.
All right. This is where we have to wrap it up on The Breakfast today. We'll be speaking to Dr. Kiki Omeli, who's a medical practitioner. We've just been talking about protecting our children on the International Childhood Cancer Day, which is today, the 15th of February. Anyways, we'll see you again tomorrow. This is where we end the show today. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be Friday Frenzy.
Yeah.
All right, my name is Verme Paulson.
And I am Nyamguru Agaji. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
When you hear of drug abuse, what comes to your mind?
When we say drug abuse, it seems like something that is so distant, but it's happening every day in our homes.
1 in every 4 persons has mental illness.
Regardless of your notion of what drug abuse is, you are sure to get the right meaning here. Welcome to Regardless, an anti-drug abuse television show put together by Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry.
Regardless, the anti-drug abuse show, airing on Plus TV Africa every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m.
Picture this. You're sitting at a table, ready to indulge in a mouth-watering meal. Stop. For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month.
Good morning. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. This is a news brief. The Nigerian Senate has announced members of the Constitution Amendment Committee to be chaired by the Deputy Senate President Jibril Barau, with the Senate leader Bamidele Opeyemi as the Vice Chairman. Making the announcement, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio said that the 1999 Constitution needs a major review. Senator Akpabio also charged the Deputy Senate President to invite speakers of state houses of assembly for interaction before the beginning of the review of the Constitution. The Constitution Amendment Committee is made up of 43 senators, 37 from each state of the Federation, including the FCT, Mpigi, South, and Senator Umar Sadiq Suleiman. The Senate Review Committee, through inputs from stakeholders, would identify relevant sections of the Constitution to be amended to give answers to contemporary national issues.
That would mean that one of them represents a zone, while there is one senator from that same state representing that state. So for zonal representation, we have Senator Adamu Aleru for Kebbi Central Northwest. We have Senator Ojus Okalu representing Abia, that is Southeast. We have Senator Fada Honsi representing Southwest. We have Senator Bomaye Mohammed representing Northeast. We have Senator Barinada Mbigi representing South-South. We have Senator Omar Sadiq Suleiman representing North Central. The committee will be inaugurated when? On Tuesday, so that they can start functioning immediately. So all the motions and resolutions pertaining to constitutional amendment that have been brought to the Senate since last year will now be channeled straight to that committee. If you have your ideas, I have my ideas, you bring forward so that we can do a good job. And then Deputy Senate President, you also invite speakers of all the state assemblies for interaction with the Senate President before we go into the major issues of presenting the different memos.
60 Federal House of Representatives lawmakers have proposed a transition from the presidential system of government the country operates today to the parliamentary system of government. The federal lawmakers who briefed newsmen in Abuja on this new proposal say the bill was listed for first reading at plenary, awaiting second reading. They further supported their argument by pointing out that flexibility in the operation of the parliamentary system of government, which was adopted by the founding fathers of Nigeria, which further mentally promoted the peace, unity and prosperity of the country as observed in the 6 years it was practiced between 1960 to 1966.
Despite several alterations to the Constitution to address the shortcomings of a system that has denied the nation the opportunity of attaining its full potentials, among these imperfections are the high cost of governance, leaving fewer resources for crucial areas like infrastructure, education, and healthcare. and consequently hindering the nation's development progress, and the excessive powers vested in members of the executive who are appointees and not directly accountable to the people. The bills that were presented today for the first reading seek a return to the system of government adopted by our fathers, which made governance accountable, responsible, and responsive, and ultimately less expensive. With the presentation of these bills today, we hope to achieve the following. Number one, ignite and provoke a national conversation about the future of Nigeria's governance system.
It will even go beyond 2027. But what is important is that we have set the ball rolling. And so it may go as far, the actual commencement may even be 2031. You know, so we are not expecting that it will be take immediate effect. It's a process that we have ignited. Thank you.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Remita, Deremi Amanda, says about 34.311 trillion naira revenue was generated through Remita platform to the Federation account between 2015 and 2022. He disclosed this during the investigative hearing on alleged revenue leakages through Remita platform and non-compliance substantively with standard operating procedure and other allied service agreement, held at the instance of the House Committee on Public Accounts, chaired by Honorable Bamidele Salam, while dismissing insinuations that Remita imposed additional fee apart from the approved 150 naira, which represents 10% at current exchange rate on the revenue generated